Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Grassley, distinguished members of the committee, thank you for the invitation to testify today. I'm Steve Marshall, and I serve as the Attorney General for the state of Alabama. I'm here today as a representative of a community of experienced and dedicated prosecutors who are gravely concerned about the direction our country is heading as it relates to law and order. This committee is likely well acquainted with the wave of lawlessness that has swept across our nation over the past few years, leading to a surge in crime, including a horrific spike in homicides unseen since the 1990s. This week presents an important opportunity to discuss the role that the judiciary plays in the criminal justice system and the effect judges' decisions have on public safety. Upon the President's announcement of Judge Jackson's nomination, one supporter, an executive director of an influential progressive group that supports defunding the police, pronounced, "We're in a moment where there's been an active movement to reform our broken criminal justice system. This appointment signals the administration's commitment to pursuing criminal justice reform at the highest level. Though I strongly disagree with the assessment that our criminal justice system is broken, I share his observation that this appointment may well be intended by this administration to initiate a transformation of our criminal justice system, or as Judge Jackson has described it, a fundamental redesign of our system. And as we know from history, the United States Supreme Court can absolutely transform criminal justice for better or for worse. The Senate must now do its due diligence to ensure that the ideology of the anti-incarceration and anti-police movement, views that the Biden administration seemingly has increasingly embraced, is never permitted to make its way onto our Supreme Court. As detailed in my written testimony, criminal justice advocacy groups have repeatedly highlighted Judge Jackson as a jurist focused on serving the most vulnerable and giving a voice to the voiceless, referring also to the socioeconomic and racial status of the offender population as evidence of a biased and broken system, while overlooking the inconvenient reality that the race and socioeconomic status of a crime victim is often identical to his or her offenders. A 2018 report by the Bureau of Justice Statistics found that the offender was of the same race or ethnicity as the victim in 70% of violent offenses involving black victims and 62% of violent offenses involving white victims. That same report showed that the largest percentage of violent crime victims were from households with annual incomes of less than $25,000 annually. Another study on crime victims found that the overall risk of violent victimization is highest among persons who are younger, male, black, living in the poorest households, and living in urban areas. These voices matter too. And Judge Jackson's now infamous law review article gives me no assurance that she would give voice to the voiceless victims of sex crimes. In that note, she questioned the necessity of sex offender community notification requirements, a common sense public safety measure that this body passed with bipartisan support and that the public overwhelmingly approves. Remarkably, the word victim did not appear once in her analysis. Promoting the false creed that the American criminal justice system is unfair, a reference Judge Jackson herself used in the opening line of a 2020 opinion, undermines justice itself. It denigrates the rule of law. It impedes the ability of law enforcement to protect and serve. It impairs the duty of prosecutors to keep violent criminals behind bars. All of this subverts the safety of the public and is most detrimental to the very voices Judge Jackson claims to speak for. I've heard nothing this week to alleviate my fear that Judge Jackson believes that a fundamental redesign is needed in our criminal justice system and that she would be so inclined to use her position on the court to this end. For this reason, I respectfully oppose her nomination. Thank you again for the opportunity to testify today and would ask that my written testimony be accepted for the record.
Without objection, thank you, General Marshall.